are both the statements that yesterday we have come across. That is, one is total probability theorem, where we have an experiment and corresponding to the experiment, there we have a sample spaces. And we also have some number of exhaustive, mutually exclusive events. So you know what is exhaustive and what is mutually exclusive events means, such that none of them are null events. None of them are null events. The probability of each event is a non-zero null. Okay. Then, if A is any event, any other event of the sample space, any other event of the sample space or the experiment, then the probability of A can be evaluated. Summation I runs from 1 to n probability of Bi intersection A. In fact, we have obtained the formula also. So this is what it is going to happen. Okay. And of course, with the law of multiplication, probability law of multiplication, the probability of Bi intersection A can be written as probability of Bi times conditional probability of A when the event Bi has already occurred. Okay. Right. See, this can also be written as probability of A times conditional probability of Bi, provided A already happened, but that is not going to help us. Am I right? So that is the reason. So for the law multiplication formula, we need to use this rule. Okay. So that too, it is also given that the probability of A Bi is a non-zero. Okay, fine. Now, this is when we have a mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. For special cases, I will tell now. Now, after this one, we have seen the Bayes theorem also. The Bayes theorem is also same thing. There is a random experiment and there is a sample space, and we have exhaustive and exclusive events with none of the probabilities, with none of the events are null. Okay. In addition, if we know that A is also not a null event, then the conditional probabilities of Bk when A already happened can be evaluated with this formula, and we have evaluated this formula also. It is in fact a one-line proof only, using the total probability and using the multiplication law for the probabilities. Okay. So before going to start this one, I would like to, for the special cases of both the theorems, total probability theorem and the Bayes theorem. So for the special cases means you see it. Okay, so we have the random experiment. S is the sample space. So let B is an event. B is an event such that probability of B 0 is strictly less than probability of B is strictly less than 1. Right? So obviously what will happen? B complement is also an event, right? Is also an event. Because of this condition, what will happen? 0 is less than probability of B complement is less than 1. Right? Okay. Now you see this one. B and B complement are exhaustive and exclusive, mutually exclusive events. Am I right? B and B complement. So what the total probability theorem says, if A is any event, then the probability of A can be written as summation I runs from 1 to 2 only. 1 to 2 only. So the probability of B times probability of B that A already happened. No, I think it is reverse. Here, since we are not using the I notation, let me write it here. So yeah, plus probability of B complement times probability of A, conditional probability of A when B complement. Okay, this is a special case. Okay. Now, similarly, Bayes theorem is also, we have the same. Similarly, in the other case also, suppose in addition, suppose if probability of A is also a non-zero number, then the probability of the conditional probability of B when A occurred, it can be written as, now how many mutually exclusive and exhaustive events are there? Only two, right? Only two, right? And hence, so it will be what? Probability of condition, probability of B times the conditional probability of A when B occur upon probability of B times the conditional probability of A when B occurred plus probability of B complement times the conditional probability of A when B complement. Okay, so this is a very special case where we have taken only actually only one event, and the other one is considered as its complement. Okay, remember that B is not a null event and it is not a sure event is also there. Okay, so the probability of B is strictly bigger than 0 and strictly less than 1. If it is equal to 1, then the probability of B complement will become 0. But for to apply the total probability theorem, we must have all the events should be null events. Okay. So this is a special case formula for total probability, and this is also a special case for Bayes theorem. Okay. Now let us get into the problems. For example, you read this problem carefully. A person has undertaken a mining job. Okay. The probability of completion of job on time with and without rain are 0.42 and 0.90 respectively. So with the rain, when the rain is there, obviously the probability of the completion of the job will be less, right? So that is why it is 0.42. And obviously when rain is not there, the probability is will be very high. So the probability is 0.9 when without rain case. Okay. If the probability that will rain is 0.45, so it is, the problem is completely depending on whether rain is there or rain is not there. Okay. Now, what is the probability of raining? That is 0.45. Then determine the probability that the mining job will be completed on time. So in these problems, what actually you have to understand, first you have to identify what are the mutually exclusive and exhaustive events and what is the event. That is the main question. If we understood that correctly, that's all. Then the remaining thing is simply a formula. The only thing is first you should identify what are the mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. Okay. So see this one. So assume that this is the mining job. So where we have, so it has been divided into two parts. One is called B1 and another one is called B2. B1 stands for no rain. B2 stands for with rain is there. No rain and with the rain. So here I am choosing the events. B1 is the event that there is a rain. Okay, you should understand it clearly. Rain is there. And hence, therefore, what is the probability of the event B1 that is already given? 0.45. It is already given, right? Now, obviously, what is B2? B2 I am considering, in fact, it is the complement of B1, that is rain is not there. It is simply nothing but the complement of V1. Therefore, probability of V2 is what? 1 minus probability of V1, and hence that is 0.55. 0.55. Okay. Now, what is the event A? Can anyone tell? Forward and tell what is the event A. What should be the event that A that we should consider? Please give your replies. Yes, that's right. Completing the job. So from the A means completing the job. So what is the basic idea that what we do? What we should know? We should evaluate what is the probability of A. It is not completing the job. It is completing the job on time. That is the idea. If it is only if you stop at completing the job, then that is not a full well-defined event for this problem. Why? Because job will be completed maybe in 10 days or 20 days. But the question is about on time. So what about this one? Now can you see that here B1 and B2 are mutually exclusive and they are exhaustive events, and none of the probability is 0, and hence by the total probability theorem, what we can say is it is probability of A is, what is the probability of A? Probability of A is probability of B1 times conditional probability of B1, conditional probability of A when B1 happens, plus probability of B2 times probability of conditional probability of A when B2. So what actually it is, look at here, what is the conditional probability of A with B1? A is completing the job. What is the condition? When rain is there. So it actually gives, when rain is there, what the probability of completing the job when during the rains. And what about this one? It is about the probability of completing the job, mining job, when no rain is there. Okay. Okay, right. Now, yes. So now what about this one? Now what about this case? Probability of B1 is already known to us, 0.45. Okay. But what about this one? Can anyone say? And probability of B2 is also there, 0.55. Can anyone say what is this two? What is this value and what is this value? Read the question. It is there in the question. The probabilities of completion of job on time with and without rain. With rain 0.42, without rain 0.90. So it is already given to us, this one and this one. So that is 0.42 and this one is 0.90. Am I right? Yes. That's all. Simplify it and do the calculations. You will get the probability. Any doubts in this problem? Any doubts in this problem? Shall I move to the next problem? 0.675. I don't know. I have not calculated what is exactly. Kavita Vishnu is saying that it is 0.675. Okay. Done. Let us move to the next question. Two players A and B participate in the game of throwing two dice. The first player who gets a sum of 8 is awarded the prize. If A starts the game, find the probabilities of the win. So now what are the events that we should do? In the previous problem, the events are directly given to us actually almost. With the conditional probabilities are also directly they have given. Now in this case, what are the events? Two players A and B, or since we are using A and B for the events, what we will do instead of A, we will use M and N. Yeah. Two players M and N participate in a game of throwing two dice. The first player who gets the sum of 8 is awarded the prize and means declaring that he is the winner. Who is starting the game? M starts the game. Find the probabilities of the winning. Okay. Let us see this one. M started first. M started first. If M started first, what is the probability of that he is going to win? Or what is the probability that he will get the sum of 8? What is the probability? What is the sum of 8? Sum of 8 means what are the possibilities are there? Firstly, let me start with here 2, 6, 3, 5, 4, 4, and then 5, 3, and then 6, 2, and then or do one thing, make it 9. Make it 9. The possibilities are more. Make it 9. So 3, 6, 4, 5, 5, 4, 6, 3. These are the possibilities. Right? Now, what is the probability of getting 9? Probability of getting 9. 4 favorable choices out of 36. So that is 1 upon 9. So obviously, what is the probability of not getting 9 is 1 minus 1 by 9, that is 8 by 9. So the probability of getting 9 and the probability of not getting 9, 1 by 9 and 8 by 9. Now let us see the procedure. The player M started. Suppose if he gets the sum 9, he will be declared as that he won. Okay. So the probability of the player M wins on the very first throw is 1 by 9. And for not winning is 8 by 9. Now second, who comes? The player N comes. The player N comes. When it goes for the second player, and it goes to the second player, which means what has happened in the first row? He did not get that. He did not get the sum 9. So now in the second position, while n is playing, what is the probability that he wins? What is the probability that he wins? First thing, it should be 8 by 9, and then he should get 9. That means 1 by 9. Or else 8 by 9 and 8 by 9. In the third case who will come again? M will come. So when it comes here, what happened already in the before? So in the first throw, M did not get. In the second throw also, M did not get. But in the M got the sum of 9 in this throw, in the third row. And now what is the probability that the player M did not get the sum in the third row also? It is 8 by 9, 8 by 9, 8 by 9. Okay. Now, fourth one again. So it continues like this one. So it is actually now what we will get 8 by 9 cube times 1 by 9 or 8 by 9 times 4. 8 by 9 times 4. Okay. So now what are the events that we should write it here? Okay. What are the events? So the first one, the event B1, let me write it. B1 is player M got the sum of 9. Okay. Sum of 9 in first throw. Player 2, sorry, B2, the event is player M got the sum of 9 in, obviously not in the second throw. Why? Because in the second throw, who will come? Player N will come, but player M will not come. And then B3 again, the same thing is going to happen. So in third row and in fifth row. Okay. So this will continue. Now, as you can see it, that B1, B2, B3, all of them are independent and mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. Now, what about the event A? That also should be defined, right? What about the event A? A is that the player M wins. A is the player M wins. The event A is the player M wins. So according to the now the total probability. So what about this one? It is actually the probability of B1 times the conditional probability of A wins while B1 is happening, or probability of B2 times the conditional probability of A while B2. Similarly, B3 while A, B3, so and so on, which is equal to now what about the What about the player M got the sum of 9 in the first throw? That is probability of B1. Probability of B1 is 1 by 9. And in the third row, 8 by 9 square times 1 by 9. So that is, here it is 1 by 9 plus it is 8 by 9 square. 8 by 9 square times, and probability of M wins in while during the B2. B2 means in the third row. So that is what it is, 1 by 9 plus here it is 8 by 9 to the power 4 fifth row. Fifth row means M comes and 8 by 9 to the power 4 times 1 by 9. What about here? Here it is same, 1 by 9 into probability of in the first throw itself, right? Plus and so on. So that is which is equal to take 1 by 9 common. So 1 plus 8 by 9 square plus 8 by 9 to the power 4 plus and so on. 1 by 9 times, what is this one? It is a geometric series of common ratio 8 by 9 square. So a upon 1 minus r, so 1 minus 8 by 9 square. So that is 9 square, so 9 upon 9 square minus 8 square. 27, huh? 9 square, 9 will get cancelled. 9 square minus 8 square, 81 minus 64. 81 minus 64. So 11 and 7. So what about this one? It is probability of A. Probability of what is A? That the player M wins is 9 by 17. So what about the probability that the player N wins? There are only 2 players are there. So probability that the player N wins is 1 minus 9 by 17. That is 8 by 17. So as you can see it here, the person who started the game has more probability than the person who started the next, who is coming in the next. Okay. So this is about any doubts in this problem? Any doubt in this problem? Any doubts? Okay. Let us go to the another one. So now read the question carefully. Read the question carefully. Bag A contains B contains maybe let us use a M. Bag M contains 8 white balls and 4 black balls, and bag N contains 5 white balls and 6 black balls. One ball is drawn at random from bag M and is placed in bag N. A ball is drawn at random from bag N. It is found that the ball is white. Find the probability that a black ball has been transformed from bag N. If you have understood the question first. How many of you have understood the question? Bag M contains 8 white balls and 4 black balls. Okay. So there is one bag. Okay. So there is one bag with 8 white and 4 black, and another bag 5 white plus 6 black, right? Okay. Now you tell me. Now what is done? First thing, we have taken one ball at random from the bag 1 and it is been shifted to here. One ball. Which color we do not know at this point. Okay, one ball has been transformed from randomly from bag M to bag N. So obviously, initially here we have 12 balls. Now we will be having 11 here. Initially we have 11 balls here. Now we will be having 12 here. Remember that. After transformation. Okay. Now finally, then later what we have done? We have taken a ball from N randomly, and we found out that that is actually white ball. That is actually white ball. Now the question is, what is the probability? See, when we are transforming a ball from M to N, there are only two options. Either it has to be a white ball or it has to be a black ball. Okay. Now the question is, what is the probability that a black ball has been transformed? Okay. Now what are the events and what are the mutual exclusive and exhaustive events, and what is the event that we should consider here? Think about it. Think about it. I'll give 2 minutes. So any idea? Abhinav said 5 by 17. That's fine. But what are the events? What are the events that we should consider? What are the mutually, you have to identify what are the mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. Okay. Now you look at here. The mutually exclusive and exhaustive events that you will get it here. B1 is B1, the event B1 is white ball has been transformed. White ball has been transformed. So white ball has been transformed means what is the probability of B1? Means we are initially when we took a ball, when we have taken a ball from the bag M, we are mentioning that that is the event B1 and that is white ball. So obviously 8 upon 12, so that is 2 upon 3. Let it be 8 upon 12. And B2 is black ball has been transformed. So obviously, what about probability of B2? It is actually 4 upon 12. The probability of picking a ball B1 and probability of picking a ball black ball and white balls is 8 by 12 and 4 by 12. In fact, as you can see it here, these two are mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. Mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. Now, okay, one ball has been transformed now. Now, what is the probability E? The event A is getting a white ball from bag N after transforming a ball, not before transforming a ball. Why? Because it will be different. The numbers are changing. So it is clearly mentioned. It is after transforming the ball. After transforming the ball, how many balls will be there? 12. 12. But we do not know whether white ball has been transformed or black ball has been transformed. If it is white, then it will be 6 upon 12. If it is black, then 5 upon 12. In that case, what we have to do? In that case, what we have to do? So there it comes. You have to understand that when we are considering this ball, getting a white ball, but before this one, it had already happened. Before this one, it has already happened, B1 and B2, and they are mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. So the total probability of A is probability of B1 times the conditional probability that event A happens while B1 has already happened, and probability of B2 times the conditional probability of A. Conditional probability of A means getting a white ball under the assumption the B2 has done. So in this case, probability of B1 is 8 by 12 times A with B1. What will be the A with B1? What will be the A with B1? B1 happened means white ball has been transformed. White ball is transformed means 6 upon 12. 6 upon 12 means that is 1 by 2. Oh, sorry, 6 upon 12. So that is 1 by 2. Let me write 6 upon 12 plus what is the probability of B2? That is 4 upon 12. Now probability of getting a white ball when B2 happened. B2 happened means black ball is been transformed. Black ball is been transformed. So 5 upon 12. 5 upon 12. So is it everything clear? So far, now what will be having 144 and here 20 and here 86, 48 plus 20, 68. Okay, let it be. So what about this one? It is a probability of A. Probability of A means getting a white ball from bag N. Getting a white ball from bag N, that is 68 upon 144. But is this the question? This is the What is the question that we have? It's been asked. What is the question that it is asked? Find the probability that the black ball has been transformed from the bag B. Initially, what is being done? Initially, what is being done? Okay. So, black ball should transform. Black ball should transform, and finally, white ball should be taken from N. So, what actually we require now? We have to find the probability of black ball has been transformed. Am I right? Black ball has been transformed. When? While the event A happened. What is event A? Second time when we take a ball from the bag N, that is white. Under the assumption, this condition, this information is already given. Okay. Now, what happened to this one? This is what? This is basically probability of B2 intersection A upon the probability of A. Probability of A, but probability of B2 intersection A can also be written as probability of A times probability of B2. No, this is not going to help. This formula is not going to help. Yeah. What about this one? It is probability of B2 times probability of A, the event A happened under B2 upon what about the probability of N? It is actually this formula. So that is 68 upon 44. So which is equal to probability of B2. What is the probability of B2? Probability of B2 is 4 upon 12 times. What is the probability, conditional probability of A when B2 happened? That is 5 by 12 upon probability of A is 68 upon 144. 12 into 12, 144 will get cancelled. 20 by 68, 20 by 68, 5 upon 70. Is it clear? You need to be very focused to understand the problems of particularly for the this probability. Okay, you should go maybe while solving some problems, you should go from the last to the first. Like in this problem, what it is asked, find the problem. Once we identify the events, what are the mutually exclusive and exhaustive events, and what is the other event, then from the last we should go back here. So B1, B2, A, this has been identified. These are the events. Find the probability that black ball has been transformed from bag M. Okay, so basically we need to get the probability of B2. But while it is also informed that it is found that the ball is white, it is already given. So this condition is there. So the conditional probability. So right. So the probability of getting the probability of transforming black ball while white ball is taken from the bag B. Okay, if you write formula for this one using the Bayes theorem, this is what you will get it. So from the numerator, you have to have what are the things to be evaluated that you can see it by applying the formulas. So that is how you can also go from the last to the first. Okay. So here I have not explicitly written the probability of A when B1 happened and the probability of A when B2 happened with the conditions. But I hope it is clear from here itself. So the probability of A when B1 happened. White ball is transformed. A means getting the white ball itself. So 6 by 6. So 6 by 12. And the probability of A, when black ball has been transformed, black is transformed, here number will increase, but white balls will remain the same. And hence that is 5 by 2. Okay. Any doubts in this question? Dheeraj said something. Dilraj, probability of B2 when A happened is 7 by 19. Whether I made any mistake? Dilraj, what is your answer? You said 7 by 19. Why? Dilraj signing.
Sir, I took the wrong probability for B by A. Probability A by B.
Okay, right. Now let us see one more problem. I think it is also the same kind of problem. Bag 1 contains 4 white, 6 black, and bag 2 contains 4 white and 3 black. One ball is drawn at random from one of the bags, and it is found to be black. Find the probability that it was drawn from bag 1. Find the probability. Find the probability that it's been transformed. That it's been taken from the bag 1. Okay. So shall I solve, or you people will try? I thought of starting a new concept, but it seems to be okay, right? Okay, we have some bag 1 is there, and bag 2 is there. In the bag 1 we have 4 white, 6 black. In bag 2 we have 4 white again, 3 black balls. Okay, one ball is drawn at random from one of the bags. From which bag it is not mentioned. So it can be from bag 1 or it can be from bag 2. So that's all. There itself you got the mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. Okay, and it is found to be black. The condition is also given. It is from the event is also there. It is found to be the black. Find the probability that it was drawn from the bag 1 when it is already known that it is black. When it is already known that it is black. So from here itself you can mention what are the events, mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. B1. So B1 basically stands for what? B1 is, we have taken a ball, right, drawn at random from one of the bags. So B1 means from bag 1, the event, and B2 means from bag 2. The event B1 is take the ball from the bag B1, and B2 is take the ball from the bag 2. So these two are exclusive and they are independent, means exclusive and exhaustive also. Okay. So now what is the probability of B1? Probability of B1 means basically we are choosing only one of these bags. B1 means it is not taking the ball. What color of ball it is? Basically it is choosing whether we should choose bag 1 or whether we are going to choose bag 2. So how many options are there? We have only 2 bags are there. So that is 1 upon 2. And similarly, what will be the bag 2 probability of choosing bag 2? is also 1 by 2 and this is also 1 by 2 again. Right now. Now what it is given? One ball is drawn. You have chosen and then you have taken. You have chosen and then you have taken. So this might be possible and this might be also possible, and both are exclusive and exhaustive events. And find it is and when you have taken a ball, it is found to be block. For better understanding, let me keep these two bags in a bigger one. Yeah, bigger one. Okay. Now the event A is taking the ball black or white? Black only. Okay. So the event A is drawing a black ball. Now what about the probability of A? First thing, what about the probability of A? So it is first thing, probability of B1. You should choose probability of B1 times the probability of, we should take black ball when B1 is chosen, and the probability of B2 when the probability of taking a white ball, black ball, when the bag B2 is chosen. This is 1 by 2. And now what? Probability of getting a black ball from B1. Black ball from B1. Totally how many are there? Totally 10 are there. Here also totally 7 are there. How many blocks are there? 6 by 10. 6 upon 10 plus choosing, probability of choosing bag 2 is 1 by 2, and probability of taking a black ball from the bag B2 is, means B2 is already done. So this is already done. We have inside the bag 2, and from this one we need to take the black ball, and hence it is 3 by 7. Is it clear so far? Is it clear so far? Okay. Now this is not the question that is asked. This is not the question. The question is, find the probability that it was drawn from bag 1. So what we need to take, we need to find the probability that it had we have chosen the bag 1 when the event A already happened. When the event A already happened. So what is this formula? It is probability of B1 intersection A upon probability of A. And probability of B1 intersection A is basically what? It is probability of B1 times probability of A when B1 happened upon probability of A means this entire expression. So we have already evaluated. So this is probability of A. Probability of B1 is 1 by 2. Then probability of conditional probability of A from B1, that is 6 by 10. And probability of A is we have already evaluated here. So substitute everything, you will get what is the probability that initially we have chosen the ball. Initially we have chosen the bag B bag 1. Okay. Any doubts from this problem? Any doubts from this problem? Seven by 12. Huh? Oh, okay, whatever it is. Okay, I think you people do the last problem. Take it as an exercise. Okay, take it as an exercise. So now I'm going to start a new concept. I hope there is no break is required. I think I'm going very slow. Okay, take this problem as an exercise and do on your own. Now, the next concept and the important concept in the probability, it is about the random, it is called something called random variables. Random variables. What we meant by random variable basically? Many of you might have mistaken by this time. It may be a kind of variable means it may be something like X, Y, Z kind of things. It is not like that. Okay. So suppose assume that we have a random experiment. And S is the corresponding sample space. S is the corresponding sample space. Okay. Let me call random experiment as E, sample space of a random experiment E. Okay. Now, so a random variable. Now consider a function. Now consider a function X that defined on the sample space. That defined on the sample space to R. R means minus infinity to the real line. Okay. X is a map from a sample space to R. So then X is called a random variable. X is called a random variable. That means what actually random variable does? It assigns for every elementary events of the sample space, it assigns a unique real value. Basically, it is a function, random variable, which means it is actually a function. Random variable is a function X defined on the sample space of the experiment to the set of all real numbers. Okay. Now let me represent here. Obviously, domain is S and the codomain is R. There is something called Rx, that is what we call the range of the random variable. Range of the random variable X. Okay. What is the range? So it is no need to explain. So range of a function, yeah, simply. Okay. Now, generally suppose if F is a map from A to R, F is a map from A to R. Now, what you do, you collect all those elements of the set A such that F of A is actually equal to 1. F of A is actually equal to 1. Now, what will happen? This will be a subset of A, right? What we are collecting? We are collecting all the elements of the domain space which are assigned to the real number 1. Or all the elements in the domain space such that the image is less than 10, less than or equal to 10, greater than 10, greater than or equal to 10. This is also a subset. This is also a subset, right? So what you do, you just replace the set A with set S. Set A with set S. S is the sample space. S is the sample space. Okay. In the probability, in theory of probability, we represent and replace the function f with x. F with x. Okay. In the theory of probability, we represent this set as x is equal to 1. Function where it equal to 1, where it equals to 1. And here it represents x is less than 10. What about this one? It is a subset of yes. What about this one? It is also a subset of yes. What is a sample space? What are the subsets of sample space? They are called events. They are called the events. Okay. Now, what about the probability of these subsets? What about the probability of these subsets? Okay. Means the probability of the set. What is the set where the random variable is strictly less than 10 or where the random variable is exactly equal to 1? Okay. Now, let me tell you what kind of this random variable. Let me give you an experiment, a typical example for a random experiment sample space and a random variable also. Example 1. Example 1. Throwing 2 dice. Throwing 2 dice. Then this is the experiment. That is E. Now, what is the corresponding sample space? Corresponding sample space, we have some 36 elementary events are there. So I'm not going to list out all of them. Okay, right? But you know how many are there? 36 will be there, right? Now, what I'm doing X is a map from the sample space to R defined by X. What about this one actually? What about this one? These are the elementary events E1, E2, E3, and so on, E36. Now, the map X is I'm representing as X of EI. What is X? X is a function. What is a function? Every element of the domain we should assign with some real number. So X of E, I'm defining EI is I'm defining it as sum of the faces. Sum of the faces. Is it clear? Sum of the faces. Where the sum of the faces is whether it is well defined, whether it will it be a function. Of course, it will be a function. Elementary events. So E1 means it first die maybe 1, 1. E2 means 1, 2. E3 means 1, 3. And so on up to 1, 6. And then 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6. And then up to 6, 5, 6, 6. Total of 36. 36 elements are there. Now, in every element, in every elementary event, I'm mapping, I'm assigning the number. The number is nothing but the sum of the faces, on the sum of the faces. That's all. Now, obviously, what about X? X of 1, 1. What is this one? It is 2. What about X of 4, 3? That is 7. Right? X of 4, 3, that is 7. And what about X of 3, 4? That is also 7. Sum of the faces. So all the 36 elementary events have been assigned to a fixed real number, and hence This actually defines, some of the phases actually defines a random variable, a random variable for this experiment, Why it is only some of the spaces? I can also define another random variable y defined on the same sample space S to R, where the function random variable y is defined as ei is equal to sum of the squares of the faces. Squares of the faces means the number which is appearing on the upper face. Okay. This will also be a real number. In this case, what about the y of 1 comma 1? In this case, it is 1 square plus 1 square, and hence it is 2. And y of 4 comma 3, what about this one? 4 square plus 3 square, so that is 16 plus 9, so that is 25. What about y of 2 comma 6? So that is 2 square plus 6 square, so that is 40. Okay, so this is about the random variable. Now what actually we are going to get? Now I am collecting the set x is less than 4. X is less than means what is this one? The sum of the faces. What is the x? What is the x? X is the sum of the faces. What I want, sum of the faces strictly less than 4, and hence what are the elementary events that I will get? 1 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 2 comma 1. That's all. Suppose if you add here equal to also, then 2 comma 2, 3 comma 1, 1 comma 3, they will also come. Right? Now, what about the probability of this set? What about the probability of this set? The probability of this set is x is less than or equal to 4. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options are there upon total number 1 by 6. So that is 36. So and hence the probability of the random variable x is strictly less than or equal to 4 is 1 by 6. Let me give another example. Okay, similarly, let us evaluate the same thing for variable y also. Now, what I want, y is bigger than or equal to, sum of the squares bigger than or equal to means more elements will come. Or maybe maximum possibility is what? 6 square plus 6 square, 72, right? Okay. Okay, consider this set. Y takes the value which are bigger than 6. In that case, what are the elements of this set? Obviously 4 comma 4 will come, 4 comma 5 will come, 4 comma 6 will come. Oh, I think this will be too much. So maybe let us take some 40. If you take 40, then now see, let us come from the higher end. So obviously 6 comma 6 will come, and then 6 comma 5 also will come, and then 6 comma 4, of course it will come. 6 comma 3, yes, it will come. 6 comma 2, yes, equality is also there. 6 comma 2 also will come. 6 comma 1 will not come in this set. Why? Because 6 square plus 1 square, 37. 37 is not bigger than 40, and hence it will. Now similarly, starting from 5, 5 comma 6, 5 comma 4 obviously, and then no, 5 comma 4, 5 square 25, 4 square 16. Yes, bigger than 40, right? It will come. 5 comma 3 will not come. 5 square 25, 3 square 9, 34 only, and 34 is not bigger than, so this will not come. Now starting from 4 comma 6 will come, 4 comma 5 will come, 4, 3 will not come. 4, 4 also will not come. 4 square plus 4 square, 16 plus 16, 32 only. So it will not come. 4, 3 will not come. Okay. So starting from 3, 3, 6 will come. 3, 5 will not come. So 2, 6 will come. 2, 5 will not come. And with 1, nothing will come. Also, what is the probability of this set? The probability of this set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And hence, the probability of the variable y is bigger than the 40 is actually how many? 1, 2, 3, 6, 6 plus 5, 11. 11 upon 36. 11 upon 36. Okay. So this is about one example. Now let me give another example. For understanding the remaining unit, you should have a clear idea about what is called random variable. Okay. Now the experiment is tossing 2 coins. This is the experiment. What about the sample space? Sample space, you already know it. Sample space, you already know it, right? Okay. Now I am defining x. X is mapped from S to R. X S to R defined by x is the number of heads in a tribe. Number of heads in a tribe. X is the number of heads in a tribe. This defines a random variable. This defines a random variable. Why? Because what about x of h comma h 2, h comma t 1, t comma h 1, t comma t 0? That is x of h comma h is 2. X of h comma ht is equal to x of th is 1 and x of tt is 0. Now suppose if I ask what is the set where the random variable exactly equal to 1? So this is with 2 options. So what is the probability of this set? 2 by 4, that is 1 by 2. What is the probability that x is less than or equal to 2? Less than or equal to 2, I think everything will come, or less than or equal to 1. What about this one? Less than a number of heads less than or equal to 1. Number of heads less than or equal to 1 means number of heads is maximum 1. So whether HH will come, HH will not come. Remaining three will come. HT will come, TH will come, TT will also join. In this case, what is the probability? 3 by 4. Probability of this set is 3 by 4. Okay. So basically, random variable is basically a function defined on the sample space to the set of all real numbers. Okay. Obviously, it will take only the scalar values. Okay. And from this, with the help of this random variable, we can get so many events, and we can, of course, we can also evaluate the probability of that events. Okay. This is going to be very useful in the coming classes. Now, so far, it is number of heads 2, 1, 0 are here. Some of the squares. Sorry, some of the upper side of the faces. So, what are the possible values that x can take? All the integers from 2 to 12. All the integers from 2, 3, 4, and so on. 12 only x can take. X can consume only only this finite number of elements. X cannot take 3.5. Some of the faces cannot be 3.5 when you are rolling 2 dice. So x will not take this value at all. So basically when x, what I just said, when x is equal to 3.5, it is 0, empty set. The probability of empty set is considered as 0. That is a null event. That is null event. What is the probability of x is equal to 1? That cannot be. Right? What is the sum of the faces? Minimum value is 2. X cannot take value 1. X cannot take values bigger than 12. X cannot take the fractional values like 2.5, 3.5 or whatever it is in between. And here also, Y also the same thing. It can take some finite number of values only. In this case also, the random variable X can take, even though the variable it is mapped to, S is mapped to entire real line, it can take only either 0, R1 or 2. Only 3 values it will take. It will not take any values below the 0. It will not take any values above the 2. And it will not take the intermediate values of 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 also. So, okay, these kind of random variables, they are generally called the discrete random variables, where X do not have much options. Only X is having only finite number of options. That is what we call the discrete random variables. Now, let me give you another random variable where it is continuous random. Okay. Now, the experiment is height measurement. Height measurement. This is the experiment. We have a group of people, a large group of people, where we are measuring the height of the each and everyone. Each and everyone. Now, what is the sample space? Can anyone tell what could be the sample space? Height, maybe in terms of foots or in terms of centimeters or whatever it is. Or maybe let us use in terms of foots, or in terms of centimeters also. Let us take in terms of centimeters. Assume that the measurement is going in terms of the centimeters. Now you tell me what will be the sample space. Sample space means the set of all possible outcomes. What are the possible outcomes? What are the possible outcomes? What happened? What are the possible outcomes? Sharon said any positive real number. Whether it will be 1000 also? Sharon? Will it be 1000? Practically speaking. Practically or theoretically, whatever it is. What I mentioned, height measurement of a group of people. Yeah. So, but it can have some bound, right? It can have some bound. Maybe I do not know who is the what is the world record for the height, but what we can take for the minimum, we can minimum also we can take minimum of at least some 30 centimeters or 40 centimeters. And the maximum we can take, let us assume 250 or maybe 350 centimeters. Of course, 350 is also very rare. Okay. So S can take any positive value from the minimum, the least possible value, and the greatest possible. Okay. In particular scenario, for a particular group of people. Okay. Suppose if you know the smallest guy and if you know the tallest guy, so the bounds can be taken like that. Maybe small h and capital H. Okay. In between these two, yes, height can be any value in between these two bounds, minimum and the maximum. Okay, so where generally we can speak H, and H is finite also, it can be infinite. Okay, now what is X? X is the random variable. X is the random variable where the height is less than 150. Where the height is less than 150. But what is the random variable? Random variable, we have to measure it, right? So the random variable X is exactly height. Random variable X is exactly the height. Now, what about this one? X is less than 150, which means in this set, what you will get? In this set, what you will get? The set of all people, with the height less than 150 centimeters, strictly less than. Suppose 150 is less than X is less than 200. In this case, you will get set of all people with the height more than 150, but less than 200. More than 150, but less than 200. Here, set of all people with less than 150. Okay. Okay. And practically speaking, when it comes to the practical problems, we can define it. We can do the the variable. We can define it appropriate to some of the practical applications. For example, the variable X can be considered it as the temperature or the density or the volume. Okay. So many examples are there. So now what actually here it is happening here? Here the random variable X can take infinitely many number of values. They are not discrete from one range to the another range. In between any from the minimum range to the maximum range, the variable X can take any value. So these kind of random variables are called continuous random variables. Discrete random variable means where X is having only a finite number of options, either 2 or 1 or 0, nothing else. But here X can take infinitely many values, lies between two bounds, the minimum value and the maximum value. Okay. So it is an example for the continuous random variable, whereas the first two are the examples for the discrete random variables. Okay. In the next section also, we are going to continue the same thing, maybe on the random variables itself, and we will do some problems also and some theory also. If you have any doubts, you are most welcome to ask now. Otherwise, we will close the section. Thank you.